The gap between my trading level lately and my result has been huge, and this is what hurts deeply. It's seeing that my approach, my reasoning, this discipline I have is the best it's ever been, but my results are just taking a big hit. And I think one of the reasons is I'm a bit tired and I'm overstretched emotion wise. And it's like my nervous system this week has just said, nah, you need to have a bit of a rest. I'm Tones, I'm a crypto trader. I review my weekly trading every week, go through the trades I took, the one I missed, my emotions, what did I do right and what did I do wrong. In all honesty, I'm back to work. I've got this new job, which is high hours for a week, and then I have a week off. So it's really good for my trading. I can still trade after work. But I have been balancing this new job, this physical, and the trading, which I put a lot of hours per day into it outside of just the trading sessions, which is backtesting, journaling, reviewing where I'm missing something, trying to improve, reviewing the past week trades, the past week sessions. And at the same time, I'm journaling everything. I'm trying to put it out there, trying to create content as well, which is new to me. And I enjoy it because it forces me to be able to articulate my thoughts and a bit diver into my trade. So it's really beneficial for me. But I'm trying to do all this and stay sharp and stay patient and stay consistent. And at this point, because the frustration is so big, it feels like anything is betrayal, that I'm cursed, that I'm unlucky. Trades happens when I'm not at the market and when I'm in the price is stalling. And overall, I'm not tilting, I'm not spiraling, I'm not having like bad decisions. There's not really like trades that I'm ashamed of sharing, but I think I'm just fatigued. So once again, it's a small losing week. I'd love to share a winning week, honestly, but it is what it is. This is exactly why I started sharing this journey. It's just to show what real trading is, especially in the early days when you trying to find something that works. You're refining and you finding yourself in the market as well. So yeah, let's go back through this week price action. So this is my trades allowed for the month. You can see this week I only really traded Thursday. Decided to take Friday off because I just was getting emotional. And at the same time, at the start of the week, because I had so many trades last week, I usually allowed myself 4 losers per week. But this week I said, let's just allow myself 2 losers or 2 risk units, which is I risk $500 per trade for now. So when I reached 884 and I was really exhausted, I decided to stop to really focus on executing on only the good trades. These are my trades here, like you see in TradeZilla, but on my breakout account for transparency as usual. Coming into my week here on Monday, the idea was really either we were going to create that W to keep going higher. There was as well the possibility of us just ranging here and then pushing higher, or to just create either H formation like this and keep going. We were in that range looking for any signs that price was going to keep rolling down or shooting up. All this section here was at work. It was definitely setups that I do like. It's just I didn't have enough time on my phone available. So let's dive into those setups and what they were. I'll do a video about my favorite setups and the ones that I like to execute on. You had your fake move here before market open that took out all the weekend liquidity, so took all the weekend highs. And then here on the 5 minute, you can count 1, 2, 3 levels. You've got a final damage, and here this order block, it's cleaner on the 15 minute, but this order block that creates this move down and this sweep, then gets ran through and retested and becomes a breaker block, and it reclaims Sunday low. I think in here, somewhere in here in this consolidation, there was a good entry long in US. Then in Asia here, I remember seeing this setup of my phone, in between checking my phone, having coffee quickly, but not enough time to really sit down on it, or not strong enough conviction to just enter it off my phone. But the principle here on this one is, I already talked about it in the previous session, is you have this W, you could count 1 level, 2 levels, 3 levels. So the high is made in US after 3 levels. You have the US high, dead gap zone, which is the zone here between US and Asia, creates a lower high, and then Asia at open fails to break that high as well. Exact same thing on Ethereum. There's probably an entry here on smaller time frame, maybe 2 minute, little retest, and you could have put maybe an entry short. I don't know, either of that candle, you leave your stop all the way there, or you just play the retest of those EMAs here. Definitely you trade here. It's a setup I love that works most of the time. It's very high win rate on this one. I trade UK after work, but nothing that I like here, nothing special to trade. And you have the exact same setup on Wednesday, where pretty much have US that takes the lows and the liquidity of the highs. It's not as clean, but you still do have the high in US, the high in a gap, and then here this little consolidation and rejection at Asia Open. So there's definitely another short to take in here. And the good thing is you can have a pretty much small stop loss, even just taking those highs and targeting the weekend liquidity, for example, that wasn't taken yet on Bitcoin. Actually had a decent retest on Ethereum with those candles. Decent entry here. And decent move down. There's really good trade here. Those to have. You have to be sat down on your laptop to execute onto something like this. I have a timer that sets every 5 minutes, so I get sort of an alert like before every 5 minute candle closes, because that's when I execute my trades. All this is hindsight, but it is a clean setup. And once again, you have that divergence between Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is a really good indicator as well, that possible trend reversal. I was then trading this UK session on Wednesday after work. I saw this setup here. It's just way too small time frame, but it's the exact setup as I shared last week. So on Bitcoin it was just a little spike, but what you have here on Ethereum is you have this like the trend is slowing. This big move down starts to slow, and you get a first sweep of Asia lows, consolidation, and you have this sharp move down, sharp move up, and then this little consolidation. Once you have this little consolidation, after this sharp down, sharp up, and almost a double bottom, and all this grabbed this liquidity here, this setup for long. I remember seeing it, but there's that little hammer. I just felt like it was too small for me to enter in here. I mean, yes, fee wise on Ethereum, like 40 Ethereum for me for a $500 risk is only $100 of fees, like to open and close both. So it would have been a viable trade. It's just, yeah, I didn't feel trading this on the 2 minute. All right, now that's when it starts to get juicy. Thursday is the first day I'm off and I can wake up. So I did trade US, and usually what I do, I'll wake up here at US Open 1:30, because usually US fucks around for an hour and a half. I woke up here and I saw this sharp move. And usually what happens is the setup I like as well, but it doesn't really present like this, but this one played out the exact same way. It will be Asia goes down, and then UK keeps going down, and that candle that breaks the 50 here on a 5 or on a 15, that usually onto you get level 1, level 2 retests this level and the 50 EMA and keeps dropping. And when it doesn't happen and it drops all Asia and drops all UK, the thing is that UK didn't drop here, it sort of was rent flat. UK extension here would do a very sharp move and retest this zone, which is exactly did here. But you have level 1, level 2, and that would be your level 3. And you have to be very sharp here with your entry. Your entry would be whatever, maybe you go down to the 2 minute, get your stop. The stop was a bit big on this one. We target this low here. It's probably better on Ethereum to take that trade. The thing is, yeah, woke up right here. I wasn't, when you wake up at 1:30 in the morning, you need a couple 10 minutes to see, okay, assess what's going on. I'll never just jump quickly on the trade because I have to, even though I realized that the trade was there. So yeah, this one just too late to get involved, and then price moved down and the exit was here. So yeah, went back to bed, just didn't miss that one. But this is part of the really good setup. I do like it. Doesn't present often. I saw it, I knew it was it. I was just not sharp enough when I would just woke up to execute as soon as I got to the charts on my laptop. And so Thursday morning, Asia here, Price here has created potentially 1, 2, 3 levels down. You can even consider this as an extension. Usually when this move happens, when you go way back up in the extension and drops here, it's the final level. And similar here on Ethereum, it's potentially just 1 and 2, and then this being the third one. But all I see is we came into an area of interest on both assets. If I look at the bigger picture, my idea of a W, it's Thursday, so usually midweek reversal. We've hit 50% of this whole range on both assets as well. So it's potentially a point pivot where we're just going to push back higher. I have this pattern of there's a base that has been forming, and I have a sweep of the base, move out, and a retest. And where it doesn't break, see this low here that gets swept with the W, doesn't get broken again, gets retested here. Yeah, it's exact same setup on Bitcoin. I see this move in the dead gap zone, and my idea is that I want price to go higher, retest this EMA, and keep pushing up. I as well have this last move in the US that sweeps the liquidity, dead gap zone that creates a higher low, and then I want Asia to create a higher low. So it's the exact same setup as Tuesday and Wednesday in Asia, but on the long side. I get an entry early, I think on market open here. So I don't wait for this retest, because there is instances like last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, where this just kept dropping and I missed my entry by trying to be more accurate in my entry and sort of waiting for a conservative one. So in here, if I bring up my trades for the week, there's actually a few trials on this one. That's where I sort of burnt myself a little bit. Let me hide those ones. So I enter here in the gap. I have to keep Bitcoin here open for the sake of explanation as well. Enter here in this gap, and then price retest this area, and at my 2 hour mark, it hasn't been anywhere. Same trade, I just dropped down to the 5 minute. So I exit at this point because it keeps failing like this, and I'm like, this is gonna break and we're gonna have a drop. So I exit here a little bit before my 2 hour mark actually. So at this point on Bitcoin, yeah, here Bitcoin, there's a first area where it swept this low, so this was still looking good, and when price just didn't break those EMAs and 50% of previous day, it kept going lower. That's when I decided to close, and I want a better entry than that. Then I do get what I want to see. So I have Ethereum that's still holding here. Like it tested it 3 times actually, but it moved higher. And here at this point, I have Bitcoin that swept this low. So this candle here swept this one. That's what held me bullish. When this happened, I was like, nah, just let me get out until I get confirmation. And there's a type of sweep that I do like actually when price does like a slow rounded sweep like this of the level. And then when we got here, at this point, everything looks good. I re-enter a trade, same, just goes nowhere. Instead of pushing and going higher, like the way I enter trades is I have an idea for how I want price to develop. If it doesn't develop my way, even if it doesn't break this low, which is my invalidation here and my stop loss, if it starts to do this and retest the EMAs, there's a high likelihood I'm going to get out because all this new price action is making the trade different. But I let the trade play out. We've got a bit of a retest here of this zone, a push higher, and like this is all good. And we just fail again to make a new high, and price just slowly moves down. When I'm at this point, Bitcoin is still trending down actually. This whole time was trending down, and this is what made me worry about my Ethereum trade, is that Bitcoin was just doing so weak and it was holding nothing. Kept dropping way before my 2 hour mark. When I see all this rejection, I adjust my stop loss to this level. I had this retest. This is my second retest. We should push higher. There's no way we should go to this level. And when we kept looking weaker and weaker, I closed my trade right there. I'm like, yeah, this is not looking good. Let me take a small stop loss and we'll see what's going on, because Bitcoin was clearly just moving down and moving down. This as well, by the way, was a retest of a breaker block. So there was a few setup in this one. I was very confident about this trade. But the more it developed, the more it was just going nowhere. All these get stopped out. We got a sharp move up. With these two candles, we were reclaiming the 50 EMA. And at the same time, at this level, Bitcoin is weak, but it's gone back to that fair value gap. It's sort of taps the fair value gap, but not really. And then it goes back straight into it. All the people that entered of that retest and it thought that we were going to go higher, these get stopped. So Bitcoin wasn't bullish, but it just gave me the confirmation of, okay, we're just probably going to keep higher. And this first trade was sort of not invalidated. So I'll re-enter a third time. At this point, I just took 2 small losses. So I'm still okay risk-wise and money-wise. 2-hour mark, price goes nowhere. Bitcoin is still below all these EMAs. And I'm already in the extension, so I've been pushing a little bit. I don't want to be part of whatever happens in the gap and at the market open. So I exit this trade here at my 2-hour mark rule and break even. So there's all my three trades. Probably a third of a loss, half a loss, a tiny one, and a break even. So all this is still less than 1 risk unit. But I had to monitor all this for the whole of Asia session, and I started to get exhausted. This trade is not going anywhere. The realization I had is like, okay, this trade doesn't want to play long. There is those trap traders here that we just can't break higher. We go to 50% of it, and in the extension we reject, break higher, and then here during the gap, I just have start of UK prices shooting down. And because of last week trades as well, when I was wrong, but I did not flip the other way around, like I explained, that I don't really like to, my long is not playing out, let me flip short. And here I have my Bitcoin creating an M formation, rejecting 50% of the Asia session. It's been bearish the whole time, making lower highs. We're below the EMAs. And here on the 15 minute, I have this drop. You can see this clear rejection. Couldn't break 50% of this candle, which is as well a good area for a retest. So this is all pointing like it's just weak. We're not ready to push higher now, or we might go down now in UK, or at least like go to the low of the day, which was my trade idea. And this inverted hammer here, as it printed, probably my entry was on the 5 minute. I enter here, stop there, and then price just keeps moving higher. If I go down in time frame here, I have this retest with those 2 candles. Let me try to make it a bit bigger. And first, this push up is not really good for me, right? It's just not in the direction I want price to go. Then it sort of rolls down, rejecting that 50 EMA, so I'm good. And on this candle, I was really tempted to close. I wanted to close, but I'm like half risk. Sort of similar idea to all these trades here on Ethereum, where it doesn't play out my way, but I exit. But if you look, none of those 3 trades would have been stopped out. It was just me managing my risk. Like, I don't think it was a mistake, because this is how I operate. I want price to move straight in my direction, not from the start, but develop the way I want to see it develop. And I'm like, okay, like all these were still valid, and I could have still made money here on the way up. I was just protecting myself. See, like when I closed here at break even, we still went down, and we could have gone lower, take this low. So I've saved myself a whole risk. So here on Bitcoin, I'm like, okay, I'll just stay in this trade, because we could still retest and go lower. And the thing went straight to my stop loss. So what I didn't do here, I did it here. And the way I should have traded that trade, sort of, would have been how I traded those at the same time. I take this loss. I'm pretty much 2 risk unit with all these trades and this one for the day, which is a limit as well. And this is what I had set up for me for my week. And I'm just exhausted, and emotion-wise, I get really triggered. All this has drained me, being sort of the entire session of Asia, managing trades and re-entering. And the fact that I take a straight loss at UK Open, and that market ends up just pushing in my direction, it just hurts. And then I decide, yeah, I need a break, I need to stop, and I'll just follow my rule for the week, which was to only trade 2 risk unit. And this is what happens a lot of times in my trading, is I'll get frustrated and something goes wrong, and I say, okay, I need to stop and break and have a reset. And this is when I do this, that a good trade happens. This is what triggers all the emotion and makes you really, can piss you off a lot, honestly. I remember going to bed here early, and then because Bitcoin was trending up like this, Ethereum, and the thing that it didn't go exactly my way was indicative of just being a retrace correction move. Same on Bitcoin here, where it just didn't go anywhere. And I had this idea before going to bed. I'm like, you're gonna see that US is gonna create a move down. I just didn't want to trade it. I was too tired, exhausted, and I had to wake up as well on this day at 6. Let me skip. I need a rest, and just what followed is one of my best setups. I've got my divergence between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and one of the setup I love. You get the drop of EMAs after. You can count 3 levels here, 1, 2, 3. You have that information. You got a first big drop as US opens, and you have a nice retest like this candle, this evening star formation, even though the middle one doesn't have a longer wick. Is a great entry. It's a bit high on Bitcoin, but if you look here on Ethereum, this one's beautiful. Below the EMAs, rejecting 50% of Asia. Yeah, ideal entry. So I wake up Friday morning in Asia, and what it is I'm a bit frustrated, and I decided to skip Friday. Friday is very a trap move for the weekend, so I don't want to risk it more and get involved in this. So I didn't trade off the whole Friday. Could tell there's a bit of a breaker block here between Asia and UK. Possible entry as well here when you have 1, 2, 3 pushes up. There's a scalp in here, definitely from 50% of the day. All this is hindsight, but I'm saying this is a valid setup short. This breaker is probably a valid setup long, even though like quite difficult. And here the entry in US would have been difficult if you were not in here from UK. The thing I say a lot is I used to think that Ethereum was doing the liquidity grabs, but from what I see lately, I know market behavior is always changing. But here it's Bitcoin again that the big liquidity grab, and of that you probably could have entered along here for the Friday, expecting a sharp move on Friday. So this was my week. Sadly, it's another loser. My results over the last 6 months, like I've already reviewed, is about a 30% win rate with a 2.5 hour average, which work out to be a break even, which is what I am, break even, slightly profitable. It's just the last 4 months, it's just been brutal. I think I'm on 12% win rate, still with the same average risk to reward. So hopefully I'm going to get a good week next week. I can trade the first 4 days. I'll skip Friday, which is a good thing to do. Hopefully I can go green on next week. I don't know when the results will come, but there's something I'm sure is that I won't quit because it's uncomfortable and the results are not there yet. I'm not quitting on a solid process and execution, especially at the level I think I am now. I'll keep showing up, win or lose, every week, go over my trading and my trades, and yeah, hopefully results will catch up soon and be at the level that I should be. See you guys.